Well, this is an unexpected follow-up to a video we did yesterday about the Trump administration potentially pulling a very shady stunt with the alleged release of the so-called Epstein Files. And spoiler alert, they did, and they fumbled it in a big way. And now many prominent MAGA Republicans are publicly lashing out at the Trump administration for what they've done. This is stunning. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends. Yeah, so the Epstein Files have been at the heart of basically so much of the MAGA thought movement. Epstein was a billionaire sex trafficker. He died while in federal custody in 2019 when Donald Trump was president, and therefore was ultimately responsible for Epstein's safety. Epstein, of course, was an infamously close associate of Donald Trump for many years. And still, the MAGA movement wanted the release of the Epstein Files, all the names and the flight logs of people who, engaged with Epstein and may be potentially implicated in Epstein's sex trafficking. Well, the Trump administration had promised that they were going to release the files. And again, we discussed that in a video yesterday. They screwed up the whole thing. I mean, we'll get into it. Like, they have really kicked a hornet's nest here. But I just want to give you a taste of how really badly that MAGA lawmakers and people in the Trump administration miscalculated on this. So here is the official Twitter page of the House Republican Judiciary Committee, basically Jim Jordan's committee. This is Jim Jordan for all intents and purposes. So we're going to play this. Breaking. Epstein Files released. Click the link. The link redirects to the Epstein Files, maybe? Maybe the Epstein Files? Oh no. It's Rick Astley. Yeah, so literally, the Jim Jordan-led House Judiciary Committee rickrolled the public. That meme, for those Gen Zers who's not familiar with 80s superstar Rick Astley, or this meme, it was basically a prank that people pulled 15, 20 years ago on the internet. And MAGA wasn't happy. MAGA wasn't happy about any of this. And so Mediaite has done us a good solid by collating and collecting a lot of the MAGA backlash about this, but it's intense. Meltdown among the MAGA faithful over this week's Jeffrey Epstein document dump Nothing Burger has left many disenfranchised right-wing figures demanding Attorney General Pam Bondi's resignation. Conservative influencers were pictured jubilantly showing off the Epstein Files Phase 1 binders as they left the White House Thursday. We covered that in a video yesterday with Pisco, attorney, friend of the show, co-host of Live and Learn. These influencers included Mike Cernovich, Libs of TikTok, Jack Posobiec, and I think Liz Wheeler. It came just hours after Bondi vowed that the full information surrounding the late billionaire would be released from the Department of Justice. Epstein, a convicted sex predator, was found dead in his prison cell in 2019 after he was charged with sex trafficking. Again, that was on Donald Trump's watch. Trump was the president. Bill Barr, the Trump attorney general, was in charge of the Justice Department. The Bureau of Federal Prisons is under the Justice Department, so it was ultimately up to Donald Trump to keep him safe, and he failed. Epstein's close association with celebrities and politicians, including Trump, has led to demands for the so-called Epstein Files, showing the names of people who flew with Epstein to his so-called pedophile island, where he reportedly committed many of his crimes against women and minors. And there's a part here about a letter to Pam Bondi to the FBI. We're going to cover that in a separate video because it merits its own video. There's actually infighting within the Trump administration. But I really want to focus on the backlash that the Trump administration collectively is receiving from the outside, from the greatest of the MAGA faithful. So Mediaite gives us some tweets. Laura Loomer, there are a few from her. Again, she's a far-right, close Trump associate. She's a bigot. She is a nativist. She's a terrible person, but she is lashing out. Good night, world. Can't wait to be gaslit for Phase 2 today. Maybe we'll find out today that a man named Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and the big bad deep state in New York and former Trump AG Bill Barr lied about it all. It's breaking and exclusive news. She goes on to say, there really is a lack of independent thinking on our side. And that is true, Laura. There is a lack because you're part of a cult. She said, if the Biden administration did this, people would be losing their minds. That's true. This is why I stick to myself. Just can't stand the groupthink or the people involved. It's all so fake. There's one person who takes the blame for what happened today. It's Pam Bondi. I think she should resign. She went on Fox News and said the files were on her desk. Then she went on Fox News last night and said that we should have the files today. She's a total liar. Just face it. Scott Adams said maybe the answers in the Epstein files that we'll totally see any minute now. Tony Kinnett also lays into Pam Bondi. We're releasing the first of the Epstein files tomorrow. Cool. Then we actually get to read them. Well, actually, you get to see a fun little photo shoots of conservative personalities and influencers holding a binder. Sopranos World is making fun of this by lampooning what happened with the Sopranos final cut to black in the final episode of that show. Liz Wheeler, who was one of the conservative influencers, she's trying to like salvage the whole thing. You know, it's really like the FBI and stuff like that. You know, like it was a really good faith effort. Elon Musk stepping into the ring. People just don't understand that you don't get instant power here, which, by the way, is a really dumb thing to say from a movement that assured us for years that the sitting president of the United States has the power to psychically declassify information. Remember, the president is the ultimate declassification authority. And so the president can snap his fingers or send telepathic signals, and things that were previously declassified have then become unclassified or declassified and then available for public consumption. Remember, that's what we were told, the sort of powers available to Donald Trump when the Biden administration's Justice Department rightly investigated and then ultimately charged Donald Trump with the willful retention of national defense information, right? The so-called classified documents case. The cope we got from these lying, unprincipled right-wingers is that, well, the president can just like think things and like they magically happen. Then it begs a question, Elon, why doesn't Donald Trump, the ultimate declassification authority, just step in, psychically declassify the files, and they're all available for public consumption? You guys said the power is that instant. What's changed? It's kind of shady. Really interesting. Glenn Beck also weighed in, former Fox News host, who is subverting POTUS. The Epstein Files are a total joke. I know Cash, Pam B, and the president. This is not the file. The White House tells me they believe the usual suspects, the FBI and the Southern District of New York, has the actual Epstein client list and are refusing to turn it over. Cat Turd also weighed in, attacking the FBI. Send these scumbag traitor agents to prison and throw away the key. The quartering, and this is one of those things where like that meme of the world's worst person makes a point you agree with. Influencers shouldn't be getting the Epstein files. This is absurd. They should be released to the public all at once and not used to make money for insiders. And I think that would be true if you're actually interested in delivering transparent results for the people. Dave Portnoy says, if I'm going to be fair, these questions need to be asked today. Why is the release of the Epstein list always a shit show? What's the point of booting out illegals and criminals while somehow becoming a safe haven for the Tate brothers? Why is crypto in the toilet if Trump is the crypto king? And how much, he goes on to say, how much does Tesla need to lose in order for Elon to go back to work? And then it ends with Anna Paulina Luna, who is a MAGA Republican congresswoman. We're going to discuss her reaction and, again, the infighting within the government over this issue in a separate video. Then I want to bring you back to Jim Jordan and the GOP Judiciary Twitter page rickrolling the public, including their supporters. Because, again, there was backlash about that specifically as well. The House Judiciary Committee run by Jim Jordan sent out a tweet pranking followers over the Jeffrey Epstein files. That post has now been deleted. And again, I played you the clip or whatever. Christina Pushaw, who is I believe a Ron DeSantis, she was on the Ron DeSantis campaign. She might have been his communications person. She says, there's still time to delete this. OSINT defender says, are you really making a joke out of the extremely serious case which ruined the lives of hundreds of children and their families? This is no better than the clown show earlier today at the White House with these idiots. Delete this garbage. Andrew Beck, read the room, ladies. Kristen Ruby, sending the American people to a tiny URL that redirects to an unknown destination is a great way to ensure trust in the cybersecurity domain. Help me understand what the thought process could possibly be doing a rickroll about the Epstein files. Rickrolling on a post related to child sex trafficking ring? That's a bold move. Ken Klippenstein, who's a leftist reporter. Our government is using a decade-old meme to make light of child trafficking. Yeah, so again, total clown show, all right? And again, there's so much to unpack here, including the internal fights both within the Trump administration and then the federal government writ large, including lawmakers, Republican lawmakers lashing out at the Trump administration as well. But suffice it to say, the Trump administration handled this in the very worst possible way, which is only arousing the wrath of their own base and calling into questions whether they really have any serious intent of publicly disclosing the full Epstein files, such as they are. So we'll be following that and see where it goes. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.